What's up, YouTube? This is Earl Vernacular TV. Being blunt and sparking conversation. Sparking conversation. Sleeping in the cell. The Afghan shooter that committed the terrorist attack on the National Guard is literally lying and sleeping in the cell after being arrested for the crimes. Now, many media outlets has reported that one of the National Guard members has lost their life and one is still in critical condition, sleeping in the cell. When I say sleeping in the cell, I am talking about sleeper cells. The FBI and many of the national intelligence agencies within the United States, they know that there are sleeper cells within the United States. Sleeping in the cell. People like the Afghan shooter, Lukawa, a 29 years old CIA operative from Afghanistan. The information that is being reported now all through many media outlets is that Lukawa was trained by the CIA to oppose the Taliban in Afghanistan. He was a part of the Zero Unit, which was rebranded later on to the Kandahar Unit. Human Rights Watch have many documentation of the crimes that the Kandahar unit committed in Afghanistan. But Mr. Lukawa was trained by the CIA to oppose the Taliban, committed all kind of atrocity against his own people, killing police officer, accused of killing police officer, and many more such heinous crimes. Mr. Lukawa was given refuge in the United States because the Taliban came back to power after the United States have waged this war on terrorism that have bled the country treasury for over 2 decades, and yet the Taliban is back in power in Afghanistan. U.S. war on terrorism having a blowback, and the consequence that we are seeing now. Lukawa came to the United States in 2021, was brought here by former President Joe Biden under his operational Ally Welcome Plan. Over 190,000 Afghanistan was brought to the United States under this operation. Mr. Lukawa, a child soldier, a murderer, a CIA operative with the United States in Afghanistan, trained since he was a 15 years old young man. Think about it. Imagine a little 15 years old white boy trained by the CIA since he was 15 to be in opposition to the Taliban. Now you brought him to the United States. These are the blowback consequences of the foreign policy. Sleeping in the cell. There are sleeper cell all within the United States. Men like Lukawa that was brought here, highly trained operative right here on U.S. soil, can be released by the CIA themselves or can go poster on their own. What it's saying is that Ramanullah Lukawa, he was suffering for some mental problems. For all the atrocity and things that he committed in Afghanistan, he probably having mental problems. He had 5 children with his wife, left his state, and went all the way to the capital to attack these National Guard. The blowback of U.S. foreign policy. You got sleeper cells there. You got tens of thousands of well-trained personnel by the CIA roaming in the United States. They can be used for good against the people, or they have their own minds. They can go poster and do their own things. Highly trained unit. Tens of thousands was brought from Afghanistan. You understand? So American foreign policy is having a blowback. It's having a blowback. Who can you blame? You train Mr. Lukaku. The media trying to clean up this guy's image. He's a CIA operative, a child soldier that have committed human rights violation documented by the United Nations. You understand? Lukaku and many of his military militia men are right here within the United States. Sleeper in the cell. Sleeping in the cell. There are a lot of sleeper cells all over the United States. And things gonna get ugly as these cells awakening, as the CIA awakening their own operatives against the American people, or these operatives, are bought and paid for by other foreign allegiance and government. You understand? Sleeper in the cell. The Afghan shooter sleeping in the cell, literally sleeping in the cell. But sleeper cells exist. U.S. foreign policy is having a blowback. The Taliban is back in power. Billions of dollars of U.S. weapons left in Afghanistan. Taliban have acquired those weapons. The U.S. had to flee, and all the assassins that they hire and train, now they brought them to the United States. What are they going to do with them? Acclimate these militiamen into the societies? These Pashtuns, these Afghanistan Pashtuns men, you're going to bring them out here in the urbanization to be able to assimilate in the society? It's a very difficult task, because all these people know is war. All these people know is the task, the programming that the CIA programmed these young guys since they were young to commit these violation of human rights, atrocity. So U.S. foreign policy has to be looked at also. You understand? Your foreign policy has to be looked at. The war on terrorism is bleeding into this situation. You can see. You got tens of thousands of militia men trained by the CIA roaming here. Some of them, they don't like the United States. They don't like the United States. Some of them have ideas that is, in opposition to what the U.S. stand for. And the U.S. went to Afghanistan. Did a lot of bombing. May have, killed many people, family and distant relatives and stuff. These people some of them have vengeance in their heart. You understand? So the foreign policy is playing a hand, even on American soil. Ramanullah Wakawa, this Afghan, citizen who just got granted political asylum under the Trump administration. However, he was brought here by the Biden administration. You understand? The CIA and the U.S. government exiting out of Afghanistan, they had to bring all the people who did their dirty work, or else they and their family was going to be killed. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality. That's why Lukaku is here, you know what I'm saying? Because of the CIA. So we got to look at these lenses. We got to question everything, sleeping in the cell. The Afghan shooter, literally sleeping in the cell. There are many sleeper cells, sleeping in the cells.